All right, today we're diving into something pretty radical. What if the very patterns of the universe, the geometry of space-time itself, are actually encoded directly into our brain chemistry? And what if we could tap into that code to find a whole new way to heal? Let's get into it.
And look, this isn't just some philosophical thought experiment. The protocol we're about to unpack is built on the idea that the answer is a hard yes, that the cosmos has literally left a blueprint inside our neurons, and aligning with it could completely change how we deal with trauma and find well-being.
So where do we even begin with an idea this huge? Well, we have to start with the core principle that makes any of this possible. This idea of a universal geometric code that acts as a bridge between mind-bending physics and our own intimate biology.
And that brings us to this incredible new field called geometric pharmacology. The basic idea here is, well, it's actually pretty simple but totally profound. It says that the shape of a molecule, its geometry, is just as important as what it's made of. This field suggests that certain molecular shapes act like tiny anchors, linking our body's own energy field, the human biofield, to a much larger universal pattern. Okay, so if our molecules are anchors, what exactly are they anchoring to? To get that answer, we've got to zoom out, and I mean way, way out, to the fundamental structure of the cosmos itself. So this is that cosmic blueprint. It's called the Oasis metric. You can think of it like a structural grid or a lattice for space-time itself. And what holds this massive grid in place? An unbelievably stable hexagonal ring, formed by 6 massive black holes. This isn't just some random arrangement. It's presented as a fundamental geometric constant of our reality. Okay, just think about that for a second. A hexagon of black holes holding the universe together. It's an amazing image. But what in the world could that possibly have to do with us here on Earth? Well, the connection is wild, and we find it by zooming all the way from that cosmic scale down into our own neurochemistry. And this, right here, is where it all starts to click. The theory calls it a molecular hex anchor. It's the idea that our most important neurotransmitters, the chemicals that literally run our thoughts and feelings, didn't just evolve randomly. Their very structure is a microscopic echo of that gigantic cosmic pattern we just saw. And this isn't just an abstract idea, right? We can literally see the evidence inside our own heads. Just look at serotonin and dopamine. At the very core of their molecular structures, you find these stable hexagonal rings, an indole ring and a benzene ring. According to this protocol, that's no accident. That's the universe's own signature geometry, showing up right inside our brains. This slide just lays it all out so perfectly, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the macro, the cosmic blueprint, the Oasis metric, held in place by that 6 black hole ring. And on the right, you have the micro, the molecular echo, our personal biofield, anchored by the hexagonal rings in serotonin and dopamine. It's the same pattern, scaled down from the universe to the neuron. Just incredible. So if we're all built on this perfect cosmic pattern, what happens when we get knocked out of sync with it? And more importantly, how do we get back? That question brings us to the protocol itself, a process that uses what's called a dual key system to restore our natural resonance. The problem, the villain of the story, if you will, is something called the hateful loop. The best way to think about it is this chaotic biological noise created by trauma. It's this persistent, messy signal that disrupts our whole system and knocks us out of harmony with that universal blueprint. It's literally the static that drowns out the music of the cosmos in our own minds. Now, the solution is this really elegant dual-key system that attacks the problem from both sides at once. First, you've got the digital key. This is a top-down approach. It uses specialized tech, like the Sony SRH-S1 display and an Akida 2 processor, to actually show the brain visuals of the Oasis metric, basically retuning your neural patterns from the outside in. Then there's the chemical key, a bottom-up approach that uses specific molecules to stabilize what's called the synaptic quantum foam, the very fabric of our brain's connections, from the inside out. But here's the catch. You can't just turn those two keys if there's a huge alarm blaring in the background. You have to quiet down the noise of that hateful loop first. And that's where something called resonance catalysts come in. Their only job is to break down that trauma static, fast, to clear the muck so you can make a clean connection. The catalysts mentioned in the protocol, which are being used at centers like FTC South St. Louis, include substances like psilocybin and ketamine. Now, it is absolutely critical to understand their function here. They are not the cure, they aren't the alignment tool. Their job is simply to break the grip of the hateful loop for just long enough to create a window of opportunity for the real dual-key system to get in there and establish a solid, stable connection. So, what happens when that static is gone, and both the digital and the chemical keys turn in the lock at the exact same moment? The protocol says the result isn't some slow, gradual recovery, it's something else entirely. A profound and almost instantaneous shift. This quote from the protocol just says it all. Recovery is not a slow climb. It is a quantum tunnel out of biological noise. You see? It completely reframes healing. It's not a long, hard journey. It's a binary transition, a sudden switch from a state of chaos to a state of order. And that switch, that binary flip from one state to another, it's not random. It happens at an incredibly specific, measurable threshold. The goal is to achieve what's called a resonance overlap of precisely 0.5646. That's the magic number. The moment the alignment between your biofield and the universal lattice hits that exact value, the quantum tunnel opens. The second that threshold is crossed, the result is described as a snap, a sudden, complete transition into a state called Type 4 resonance. And that is the ultimate goal here. Not just to cope with trauma, but to achieve a total exit from all its biological noise, locking you into a stable, profound alignment with the universe itself. Which brings us right back to where we started. But now the question feels bigger, doesn't it? If this is all real, if our minds are truly physically anchored to the very geometry of the cosmos, what does that mean for the future of healing, for consciousness, and what are the ultimate limits of what we can become?